Good afternoon, morning, or night. My name is Marikai. Welcome back to a Paint With Me video. Today we are working on a piece titled Full Sun, Late June. This is a self-portrait inspired by Aletha, the summer solstice holiday, as well as queer liberation and our sweet survival. I'm so excited to be working on it with you. I painted this specifically for the cover of my single underneath the same title, Full Sun, Late June. It does come out on the 21st of June, and you will hear it in this video. I'm super excited though. It's gonna be very fun. So today I want to talk a little bit about the process, of course, of painting this. I also have a list of topics that I'm going to get into as we go along. If you enjoy this, as always, make sure to leave a like, as well as checking out the much larger art project that this piece is a part of. Check it out. It will all be in the description. So today we're painting with acrylic paint. I love acrylic paint. I love the opaqueness of acrylic paint. I love that it can be translucent. It has a lot of different layers and stuff. Over the years, I have worked with gouache and watercolor, and now I'm in my acrylic paint era. I really do enjoy working with this medium. There's something about it where over the years my process has sort of changed, and I'm kind of in this point with my artwork where I carve out the shapes and the subjects of my pieces rather than like fully following the sketches like I used to do. Back when I was working with watercolor, I would sort of build it up in a way that was a little bit different. So I would do sketch, I would do watercolor, and then I would do like line work, or I would sketch and then do line art, watercolor, and then line art on top of that. That was years ago. But it's kind of funny to see how the process has changed, because now I paint a lot like how I do when I paint digitally, which is setting the matrix color of the piece and then picking out colors and carving the image out. I would say that I work dark to light, but I don't think that I do. I sort of just work in layers where I kind of work on everything a little bit at once and then build on top of that as it dries. I super like acrylic paint because it dries quickly, and I'm a big fan of sculpting the shapes out. As you can see, I feel like I'm doing that pretty obviously with this face right now. So I sketched this piece with my non-dominant hand after being in an art block. It was honestly a very unproductive week, and I sort of just sat around. But I feel like sitting around as an artist is really important because you get ideas when you're sitting around, and then you get motivation to work on something, which is kind of what happened with this. It was very last minute that I decided I actually wanted to put this work out this year, and I'm very excited that I'm going to. This song means a lot to me. I produced it last year, and usually when I work on my tracks, I kind of work consistently over the span of a few months, but for Full Sun, I really just sat down and had like this burst of inspiration and locked in and recorded most of the track and arrangement in one sitting, which is pretty rare for me now. Since I do like to kind of build on things over the span of a few months, I feel like you kind of get a look at the bigger picture as you work that way. And I have come back to this song recently to sort of finish it up and conceptualize the entire thing before I release it. It is kind of funny because the backbones of the original recording that I literally did in one afternoon I guess not one afternoon, I sort of worked on it for like 2 days straight, and it's kind of the backbone of the song. Like I really have not changed much about the original arrangement. I ended up doing the sketch for this with my non-dominant hand because I read somewhere, I might have seen it on Pinterest or something, that like when we are drawing so consistently with our dominant hand, we kind of start to draw things as we remember drawing them the first time, rather than if we're using a reference image. We're more likely to interpret the image accurately if we are not drawing from muscle memory. So I did draw this with my left hand, the original sketch, and I obviously went back and refined it after I did the basis, but it was super helpful. I very much recommend trying that technique if you feel kind of stuck with your artwork, or if you are bored of the sketching process, like if it does feel very muscle memory, because I find that I get kind of unmotivated when I'm sketching and I feel like I've just done it a million times. Like I do want to move on to painting. So it was very fun to switch it up and draw this with my left hand. And since then, I have been working in my sketchbook way more with my left hand. I play a lot of instruments, so I'm pretty much using both of my hands consistently. So it doesn't feel like too unnatural to be using the left, but it definitely was a challenge, and I like a challenge. It was very fun. But I thought that was kind of an interesting little tip, because it does make sense. Like, you do have muscle memory, and sometimes you're looking at an image and your brain, your artist's brain, is interpreting it in a way that you have drawn it a million times rather than looking at something like fresh and new. I think about it kind of like flipping a canvas when you're working digitally, or turning the piece upside down to step away from it for a little while to like get a new look at what you're working on. Anyways, I'm back. I went away for a second. I remembered what the yellow color in the background color is called, and it is the cohesive color to make all of the other variants in your piece cohesive to the background color. And I think I called it a matrix color earlier, which I just Googled, and that's also accurate. Kind of funny. It sounded sort of intense though, so I wanted to check it to what it was actually called. Anyways, I submitted this song earlier this week, and we are approaching the release date, and I'm very excited about it. This portrait that I painted, I've painted before, and the original that I did, I was really unsatisfied with, but I did still do it one time before. The portrait is a photo of me after playing a show, and I really liked kind of capturing the otherworldly, in between worlds kind of expression in my eyes, particularly because there's this process of before performing where it's about an hour before I go on stage, where I can feel myself conserving energy and like switching into stage mode. And let me tell you, when I'm up there, you guys, like, it is a portal, that is for sure. It is a experience that is hard to describe to anybody that hasn't performed before. The stage, it goes so quick too. One of the ways that I feel like I can describe it is almost like when you're going to be on a roller coaster. And it's like right when you're going down the roller coaster, that's sort of how it feels like to sing songs to an audience of 20 people. Anyways, thankful for all those 20 people. But yeah, it's like you have the stage, you have not only the crowd moving, but you also have the stage lights, and you have the monitor feedback, and you have the output monitor feedback, the PA system, and you have your amps, and it can just become a lot really quickly. So I take about an hour of preparation where I really try not to be an asshole to my team, aka the friends who are there, and I try to just kind of come into a place where I can be peaceful internally and remind myself that I'm in control. I'm also slowly learning to enjoy the process of the show itself. Performing has been something that I didn't ever really think I was going to do, because it does give me a lot of anxiety. But it's really fun actually getting to do it and prepare for it. But being at the venue, when you are playing a little show, a little local show, you're most likely going to be playing with 1 to 2, maybe 3 other bands. And everybody's set, besides the headliner, whoever that may be, is usually like 20 to 30 minutes long. Now, the longest I've ever been at a venue was from 5 to 11. 5 to 11 is probably the longest that I've ever been at a venue. And we didn't even get to do sound check. They had us line check, which is just testing the instruments before you actually play, instead of the hour before real sound check. But it's fine. That's part of the joy, okay? That's part of what I'm trying to really take advantage of and appreciate every moment of, because it is not like anything else. It's kind of like standing in a line before a roller coaster. Crazy. I don't even like roller coasters. Because the anticipation. I got to the venue at 5 o'clock during the show that I played this song at. I didn't play until 8:30. There are just hours before, and I don't even know what I'm doing on those hours before. I'm just wandering around, like, taking photos. Not even doing that sometimes. Like, last time, I was just kind of wandering, like, with my band and friends who were there, and we just sort of, like, went to this fucking field, and we're just in the field. And here's my little message to you right now. If you live in a place, anywhere, honestly, you most likely have a local music scene. Let me tell you, if you have the means, if you have the time during your day, if you're not working your 3 jobs, like, even if you are, like, if you have time to go support your small local venues and your upcoming little music acts, absolutely do it. Oh my God. The gratitude that I feel for people who end up coming out to the shows is so, so cool. And they are a time, but you're just there forever as the artist. You are there for a long time. And in the beginning, I really, really hated being there for a long time because it was just like, waiting. But now I'm like, la 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 la, guess I'll wander into this fucking field, I'll talk about that more later. I do talk about my quinoa salad later in this video. But it's a special time. And I'm very grateful for every time I get to play a show, because it is, I reflect and I'm like, that was just so a time. It was so a time. And then I go up there and, I scream my head off for 20 minutes and I feel a euphoria like no other after that it's over. A gratefulness to have endured the experience. And so I took this picture when I got home from my show last June. And there's something about the picture where, like, I'm sort of in that transitioning state back from running the adrenaline and also coming back to a world that isn't being blinded by stage lights. And it can be quite the experience to come off of the adrenaline. And when I first started playing shows, the first couple that I did, I would get, freaking out nervous before. Then I would get the calm, like the eye of the storm, and then do whatever I was doing. The ending would consist of like a day and a half of recovery. Now, whenever I play shows, I have an easier time recovering after and coming back to myself. But like in the beginning, it was really hard to like find my grounding, kind of just floating in frequencies. So that was fun. That's what this picture is, and I can put a photo of it up on the screen at some point. But that's what I'm referencing here. I really like this picture. I painted it once before, didn't like it. Glad I'm painting it again. And the original that I did paint was going to be used for the cover of the same song, so I think it's quite special to get to come back to it and use it for the song. So another one of the themes in this piece that is besides my intense gaze into your soul is the assortment of vegetables and herbs and greenery and flowers in the background. I did want to use a lot of symbolism that sort of represented the summer solstice and the harvest and community and Litha, which is the celebration of fertility and our natural world. And so the themes in the background are a lot of things that I really love. The sunflowers are remnants of the 12-foot sunflower that used to be in my backyard when I was growing up. It got so tall, we still really don't know where it came from or how it was growing out there, but that thing would have its head to the sun, and it would also have its head towards our upstairs kitchen window pretty often. And I will insert a photo of it here too, because I just think it was, very special sort of symbolism. And the thing was like a tree. Like its leaves, its stem was thick, bro. Like it was a sturdy, hardy plant, and it would come back every summer, and it would grow more every summer, and it was literally 12 feet tall. Insane. So I saw a lot of myself in that little sunflower out there, and how it just kept coming back, and there was something really special about getting to grow up around growing food. We had a garden in the backyard, and I just sort of, while I was painting this, was reflecting on the state of our world now, and our decline into late stage capitalism, where it is very uncommon for people to have the means to grow large gardens. It has become a privilege over the years, and I'm sure, of course, it was a privilege when I was growing up as well, but there was never a moment where I could imagine living without a garden and access to fresh food like that. I feel pretty lucky that I got to grow up with that. And we have a small garden in the backyard of the house that I live in now, but it was nothing like my childhood garden of being just like our entire backyard. But there's something about gardening and growing food where there is a connection to community and the old world in a way, and all of the people that harvested and grew food before us and shared with their neighbors and shared with their community. And as an adult, there's a lot of ways that I want to channel that energy now, whether that be like donating to a community pantry, or like starting, inviting people over to have dinner. Like it's sort of a sacred experience, I feel like, and that could be cheesy or it could be really special. I do consider it to be quite sacred to share food with people that you love. And that has not always been easy for me in the past. But it's something that I want to practice as an adult. So the things in the background, I'm working on the face and the actual painting right now. The goods in the background, there are turmeric root and ginger root. There is kale and sunflowers and spinach leaves. There are heirloom tomatoes and radish and sweet potato, beets, radish, beets, radish. There are radishes in the piece. One thing about me is that I have the palate of a rabbit, and I am always down to munch on some raw vegetables. Yes, indeed. My favorite being the radish. I really love all of these foods, and there's something about the details of growing food and then cooking it and chopping it up and preparing it that is ritualistic in a way. And I find myself being very meticulous whenever I am chopping vegetables, because I take time to look at the vegetables. I like the Japanese sweet potato. I didn't include one here, but that's like, it's got like a white center. It's very good. There's an orange sweet potato and a purple sweet potato. And there's a very specific type of purple sweet potato that I get that has like almost a supernova of white speckles inside of it. And every time that I chop it up, I just kind of take a minute to look at it. And when you wash sweet potato and then sort of touch them, they get bruised. Like they get sort of discolored, and it's just like, wow, that it's going through its own process right now. I could ramble about my love of vegetables for a long time, which is kind of what I'm doing in this video. So I really like to look at the sweet potatoes and the colors and take colors from our natural environment to put into my artwork. I spend a lot of time painting the desert. That's primarily what I paint, if it's not character illustrations. And my desert pieces are pretty important to me. Ginger and the turmeric, okay? Let me tell you about my experience with those. Turmeric, I see all over the internet where people are like, oh, consume this if you have this issue and this issue and this issue. Guys, I don't know what fucking issues we're trying to fix. I eat so much turmeric because I just like that it makes things orange. That's literally it. If I can put it in something and turn it orange, my brain is so happy. Orange is my favorite color, and I will consume food that is orange. But it got to a point where I was just consuming a lot of turmeric, and then I got fixated on oranges and orange juice, and that kind of tore my stomach acidity up. But whatever, I don't care. It was worth it. They were orange. They were delightful. The turmeric, I was drinking golden milk lattes like every single day. I was putting it in all of my curries and over my rice and stuff, and delightful. I really am a fan of turmeric. Ginger is a second contender, the first contender, actually. I consume so much ginger, it's actually become a personality trait. Crystallized ginger cubes. Crystallized ginger cubes are something that I have on my person all the time. I bring them with me when I go camping. I bring them to my shows. I bring them to my friend's house. I bring them when I go on walks. I love crystallized ginger, and I am like the number one buyer of crystallized ginger from the grocery store. And whenever I feel anxious, crystallized ginger. Whenever I can't sleep, crystallized ginger. Whenever I feel like my blood sugar is giving me trouble, crystallized ginger, dude. Like, it is the number one fixer. And I had a lot of stomach problems when I was growing up, and I started consuming just so much ginger, and it was like a godsend. So I'm really all in for ginger anything, actually. There's this really good type of gingerbread that I got 2 packets of from this restaurant that's literally in the middle of the desert. They have the best gingerbread. Love a root. I like an ashwagandha too, you know? Like, I have a tea that's ashwagandha. I have a tea that has yarrow in it. Weird flavors. I'm a big fan of, like, things that taste like earth. You know, people who are like, matcha tastes like grass. First of all, you're probably making it incorrectly. Second of all, the more my green tea and my matcha tastes like grass, the more I'm likely to enjoy it. So, yeah, I see a lot of myself in the food that I've grown over the years, and the process of that growth, and then the ritual that it is to consume that food that you grow. And so we've got some chard in here. There's some like kale. I really like kale and chard in my soup because it kind of shrinks down and consumes all of the water in the soup, the broth. Saw a post recently that was like, I'm investing in water-based cooking. And I was giggling because when I was younger, I used to call the soup broth soup water. My mom was not a fan of bouillon, and so we didn't like... Honestly, it was kind of just vegetables soaking in water, but it was still good. I still ate it. It was just literally soup water, like hot water with vegetables in it. Hilarious. There's a beet down here. I really, really like beets. And I like that you can use the entire beet if they're good. You can use the leaves of the beet as well. And put some lemon on them, and they're delicious. There are some greens in the background too. And then there's some heirloom tomatoes, which I actually am growing in the garden out back. So fun. I've got garden going. We also have delicate squash growing in the garden. I didn't include any of that in this piece, but delicate squash is very good, and they're small, they're little tiny baby squashes, and you can cook them with the shell, and the shell becomes a very good texture. They're also super good in quinoa salad. Now, one thing about me is that if you ever come to my show and I'm having my moment of peace and quiet an hour before, where I'm trying not to be an asshole to everyone around me because I'm overstimulated, I am most likely chomping down on a quinoa salad. I've recently gotten back into quinoa. I also grew up eating a lot of quinoa, and then I became so tired of it that even the smell made me want to simply cease existing. Really not a big fan, specifically of the yellow quinoa. I didn't really like the yellow quinoa. I like the mixed quinoa with all of the different types of quinoa included in it. And I also like it savory. I used to have it sweet when I was younger, and that was not something that I am a fan of. It's my food rant about food and how I feel like we are in a state where we have been directed out of growing our own food in exchange for purchasing it from the grocery store. And look, I love the grocery store. Don't get me wrong. I do love the grocery store and the access. But there is maybe the fantasy part of me that would enjoy the trading and bargaining technique a little more than spending $7 on like 3 cucumbers. Absolutely super cold take, but I believe that everybody who is alive should have access to affordable food. And food in general. Bring back the trading and bargaining system and taking care of each other. Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts there. So the actual holiday of Litha is a celebration that is rooted in paganism and old world mythology, and it is about the celebration of the sun and taking time to reflect and celebrate one's abundance and Mother Nature and the natural world and how we relate and are part of it, and how we can see the reflection of that light within ourselves. I am a big celebrator of the solstice time. I have an entire album about Yuletide, which when I was creating this song, I wanted to make a summer solstice, the day the sun stands still track to align with the fact that I have a song titled Ice Moon Solstice, which celebrates the day the sun stands still in the winter. Some of the symbolism that is associated are like the floral garlands, yellow candles, fire of many types, the bonfire, celebrating one's progression and renewed energy, inspiration, leaving the old behind and embracing new beginnings. All of that good stuff. It is a time to gather, celebrate, transform, enjoy the solar power, you know? We gotta appreciate it for real. Well, my friends, I have pretty much yapped my head off for now. So while my voice recovers momentarily, I'm going to leave you with a song that I made specifically for this video titled Excavator/Ascension. And then I will return with my artist statement for this painting later in the video, as well as sharing Full Sunlight June, the song that it represents. I hope you're enjoying so far. I'm gonna be honest, I'm really enjoying watching myself speed paint this. It's been forever since I've recorded actually making some artwork. So I'm gonna try to do this more for some other things in the future. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Thank you so much for watching so far. I hope you're enjoying. So, not quite moving on from my conversation about vegetables. I hope you're enjoying that. But I have a note written out here that I'm going to read that is in relation to this piece specifically. And I wrote this and I put it on Substack. So if you are on Substack, make sure to go give me a follow. I've been trying to write more poetry and also just more statements that are related to my personal life and creating, and the young adult trilogy that I'm writing with my best friend. Like, we have been talking about that consistently over there. Lots of queer stuff and exciting projects. But I have this that I wrote that was for this piece, and I'll read it, and then I'm going to read the poem that I wrote originally that I based the song off of, and then I'm going to let you hear the song of Full Sun, Late June. So, here we are. I am inherently part of our natural world. As a child, standing in the garden, with the 12-foot sunflower that returned every summer, standing strongly towards the sun, I felt like nothing but soul. My enjoyment of vegetables is a huge part of my life. I love radish and carrots and kale and ginger. I love how there is proof of where we came from, in the veins of a spinach leaf or the brain-like shape of a cabbage. I'm so meticulous whenever I chop vegetables and greens, pausing every few minutes to admire the beauty of them. I find myself in the orange of the turmeric and the spiky twisted tomato vines. I have gained more freedom, clarity, and confidence as I've grown up. There are still things I'm learning about myself, of course, being only 21, but oh, have I survived this long and will continue to thrive. I look at my queer friends who share my values and experiences and who also have vastly different feelings and identities. Every time I look at them, the love I feel is profound. Every day, I am endlessly inspired and grateful to be sharing this journey with them. In these turbulent times, when hate is so prominent in our world, we make poetry, stories, music, collages, paintings about our sweet survival. Producing music alongside painting is one of my most expressive forms of exploring the complicated feelings that come with being queer. This piece, though Full Sun, Late June, is about the positivity. The poem I wrote goes, "Oh, survival, the rich geocrest, I am not afraid of their vices, I'll be ascending right back. Ginger tones toast the bonfire up, while the sun sings high, I'll be throwing the match. Oh, survival, sweet survival. I am a soul summoned in late June. Pendulum swings and the bells ring, the midnight sun. Abstractions in a glowing sting of light. I will be the sigil of dust storms, of crystal snow, the metamorphosis of both." Producing Full Sun, both the painting and the song, was an impulsive, exciting process. Both arrived from a place of sitting and boredom, and then having multiple sporadic, firecracker-like bursts of inspiration. I heard particularly the bass line of the song so vividly and created the beginning of the track in June of last year. I then returned and added the B section. While I was painting, the arrangement of colors practically created themselves as well, but this is also not the first time I tried to paint this photo, because I drafted my idea for it last year as well. It's crazy that a year has already gone by. This was definitely one of those songs I never thought I was going to release, since it was such a personal indulgence, listened to over and over and over again kind of track for me. However, I'm learning that those are the best to release. Creating should be cathartic for you in many ways, and the best art is made from immense passion. And for me, enjoying the process is always the best part. I usually spend about a year at least with my songs before they are heard by any other ears. Yeah, Full Sun, Late June, man. Full Sun, Late June, or my band's live edition that I really wanted to call Late June, Full Sun. Same title, just in reverse, which I'm also going to be posting on this account. But the piece really did come from that place. And specifically this month, I've just been thinking about what it means to me to be queer. And I've been thinking about every single version of me and how every single version of me exists inside of the me now, and would be so grateful for the decisions I've made and the choices that I've decided on. because it really is, because really every version that has existed before me has been here to create who I am right now. So yeah, that's sort of what the piece is about. And I feel like the representation of my favorite things in the background could also be very much connected with everybody that I have met and loved and everybody that I continue to know. But also, I kind of just wanted to paint some ginger root. Oh, goodness me. Oh, the joy of our sweet survival. The joy of our indulgent creation and how we will keep the world going with it. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are feeling unmotivated, if you are feeling down on your luck, if you are feeling like everything is just a lot, because it is, and you're valid in that feeling, but it's also like, put some paint on your hands and finger paint and take a walk in the yard and enjoy a sunset and enjoy the mountains, if there are any by where you're at, the air while we still have it, you know, like there's so, the chirping of the birds, because no matter what happens, the sun still rises. And I bet underneath that concrete that they poured over the garden in my old yellow house, that sunflower root, you know, I hope one day down the line that concrete cracks and it grows right up to 12 feet again. This is Full Sun Late June by Marikai Roses, and this is where I'm going to end this voice message, this voiceover. Enjoy the song, enjoy the painting, and I hope you have a very nice summer solstice. That's all. That's all from me. Signing out!
sorry.